This is the Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Wyatt Turk, Mike Haspel, and Greg, Agent of Chaos, friend of the show. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Yo, what's up?
Greetings and felicitations.
What's up, Long War?
I wanted to say it, make a cat joke, but obviously, if you're listening at home, Greg has cat ears,
Cat ear
headphones,
headset.
cat ear headset.
Legendary.
It lights up.
To no one's surprise, he is a Tau player.
Facts. Greg is
Best army.
Greg's a longtime friend of the show. Met what? You're an XBZ too, an XBZ team member. You were
Yep.
on you were on Wyatt's squad when you guys had the big display board or not?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was.
you were. I called you the Reddit assassin. That's right. When I introduced you. And we have a good show tonight. Actually, a new title. I haven't seen this one come through the show notes yet. Game
What?
night horror stories, lessons learned from playing Warhammer 40k.
We know this is inspired by my recent
Adventure.
before Adepticon
misadventure.
misadventure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so having Greg on the show, I think is going to be pretty funny because he's probably got some wild stories too, which makes sense. So guys, as you're listening to the show, give us some Q&As. You have a subject, horror stories, and I'll try to circle those Q&As back toward the end of the show as we do. But with 5 panelists, why don't we launch straight into our award-winning segment? Touch nothing but the lamp.
So a little bit of a different format this time. Saw something fun the other day. Who do you think would win in a fight between Deadpool and Roger Rabbit? Defend your answers.
Oh, this is your new
Discuss.
thing. You sent me that link where you're like, I'm done with like normal power scaling, like Goku versus Superman. Fuck that.
Yeah, shit's dumb.
Yeah, and then the guy's example literally was like Robert Rabbit versus Deadpool. Now you have my attention. That was like
I mean-
literally the dude's comment. That's nice.
It's just too good. Like I want to hear you guys to talk about it.
I've seen some of that Death Battle YouTube channel that's like wildly successful, millions and millions of subscribers. And they go into like some serious power scaling notes on their matchups. And I've seen some wild ones, like Popeye versus One Punch Man and shit. So I know right at the gate, some of these characters, like Popeye level characters, their power scale is preposterous. So I'm not gonna like sleep on Roger Rabbit in this fight. But
I mean, well, he's not. He physics don't apply to him either. So
like figure out his powers, right? Like what does he do?
Anything he wants.
It's
yeah,
kinda-
basically, he's like gonna
he's-
work.
Yeah, Deadpool's gonna lose.
Like what's Deadpool, right? He regenerates.
He regenerates. He has some kind of strength ability too.
Is he technically immortal, or is he just regenerate? Like, because I think in the comics,
He's technically immortal. I mean, I think in the comic he's been decapitated, and
He's been cut into pieces.
yeah, he's been cut into pieces and reassembled. So he's
He dies all the
essentially-
time.
isn't this thing that like
It's
like,
a healing factor.
Death is in love with him, and like and he can't die. Isn't that also
I
like a
don't
part of his
think
deep
so.
lore?
I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Man,
Wow,
That's actually
yeah, I
like
didn't know
OG
that.
Thanos. Like Thanos is also
Thanos was in love with death.
yeah, and
for
he's
sure.
but Deadpool like is actually the recipient of her like blessings.
Hmm.
So I think that's like deep lore. So I think that like Deadpool should get his deep lore if he's going up against the tyrant of the ages, fucking Roger Rabbit.
Some other points that was brought up about Deadpool is that like he is aware of the fourth wall and he breaks it constantly. So he is like a little bit meta. And like because he can do wacky shit like crossover between comic book panels, he's done stuff like kill the authors of Marvel comics as they're making the comics.
Oh, he has a weakness though. Someone in the chat mentioned it. Right? Acetone
dip.
dip his ass, right? Isn't that how they were
Yeah.
killing the tunes in the movie? Like, so we know straight up he's not invulnerable.
Yeah, that's like the only thing that can kill Roger Rabbit is the dip.
I think tunes in general was the dip or whatever.
So
Mhm.
if Deadpool is technically unkillable,
Hmm.
then logic dictates that on a long enough like curve of fighting, he eventually will discover that Roger Rabbit
Well,
dies.
unless Roger Rabbit does something like punches him into the sun, which he could totally do.
Or trap him in like a Looney Tune hole he drew in the ground. Because if you're immortal, the
Yeah.
odds of you being immobilized permanently forever jumps to 100% at some point.
I mean, Roger Rabbit's deadly in a whimsical sort of way.
See, the way that I initially thought of it is that like Roger's kind of a coward. So I feel like he would just spend the entire fight like doing gimmicks and gags on Deadpool as he like runs away and like skedaddles.
But isn't it part
So,
of his
I mean,
thing though?
I
As
don't-
long as it's funny, like he needs it to be
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, like he can do whatever he wants as long as it's funny. So like I don't
So
really
yeah,
think,
so he wouldn't punch him into the sun. He would Acme slingshot him into the
yeah.
sun.
And Ryan Reynolds would fall for that, right? Like that's the problem. It's like Deadpool would go with the bid to his own demise.
He would.
Yeah.
Because it was funny.
Because it was funny.
I don't think Roger Rabbit even kills the villain in his own movie. Like, kind of Judge Doom kills
No,
himself, doesn't he?
yeah.
Yeah, so killing
Mhm.
is not the win condition of this fight. Like you have to establish that now. The win condition isn't
Yeah.
death. Neither party is actually interested in killing the other.
No, I feel like
It's
because
gonna be a
Deadpool
one-line
and
battle,
Roger
dude.
Rabbit, it's who can be funnier.
Yeah.
That's who's gonna win. That's how you determine the winner is who's funnier.
Yeah, like or who's like they're gonna just joust each other. Like they're gonna go hit for hit, dude.
Wasn't that how he got all the weasels to die because they laughed themselves to death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's really gonna be
Maybe
like
that's Roger's like actual superpower. Because like the only thing that could kill Toons is the dip, except when Roger Rabbit wants you to laugh yourself to death and then you turn into a ghost.
they're gonna go after each other. So basically it's gonna be who can get the other guy, who can hurt the other guy's feelings like for real. Think about like locker room talk, you know what I mean? Like when a bunch of dudes are razzing each other, like saying like fucking outlandish shit. Oftentimes the guy whose feelings actually get hurt first, he loses the encounter. You know what I mean? Because now it's like, hey man, my mom is dead. You know what I mean? Like, and now it's
Yeah.
that doesn't usually stop it. You know what I mean? So
They
they're
both
gonna
have
be
the weaknesses though to complete the bit because we know that like Roger Rabbit, if you do like shave and a haircut, he has to do 2 bits. Like
Yeah.
he can't resist it. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought experiment.
yeah. I think that. I mean, I honestly think it's a pretty. I think Deadpool would beat him, but now that I'm thinking of like reframing the fight, because I think Deadpool could cut him deeper, and get him to break character, right? It's like that, like who can get who to break character, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like Deadpool is more equipped for that. Especially once he gets his hands on like Jessica Rabbit and like understands that she exists, that's gonna be endless.
Deadpool's vulnerable there too, though.
That's true.
It cuts both ways.
Damn, that's a good fight. That's a way better fight than Goku versus Superman.
Yeah, dude. I don't think we've done a user submission giveaway in a month or so. So
Right.
like if you're listening at home, submit your answers. Best one will win something.
That's right.
How about a no prize? We're poor.
Yeah.
Well, weren't we doing like a paint set or something?
Well, we had
Oh.
sponsors for that.
Yeah, we need to get sponsors.
We had
We're
sponsors for that.
we're trying to.
It's tax season
We're in
right now, dog.
between. We're in between sponsors right now. We're working on some shit.
Okay, guys, give me some Q&As. Rob's about to do some news. So Q&As, game night horror stories, lessons learned from 40k. That's the subject of the night. I'll start saving them and fielding them later in the show. As Rob does the news, Greg, feel free to chime in at any point. Rob?
Yeah.
Except for when I'm talking, of course.
No, you can cut his ass off. No, that's not fair. When he's talking too long about Titanicus, you can cut him off.
Ooh, wow. I haven't really done that in a while.
Somehow I maneuver you into doing it like 2 shows in a row recently, and to my detriment. Like, or you maneuvered me into doing
Man,
into like giving
you're
you
the one that
open.
was paying that.
Yeah. See, it's happening right now. Now he has.
Yeah.
Fuck.
How'd that go, by the way?
I'm not talking about it. Do the news.
No? You sure? You want people to watch your show,
I
right?
threw it in the garbage.
You did not. That belongs to somebody. Man, maybe I need to like go get my War Master and just have it like chilling here, put it on my shoulder. Be like, man, look at all this trim on here. Oh, that's got to be a pain to paint.
For the record, War Masters are Titanicus models, so you've been cut off now.
It's true. All right. Well, the Chaos Stars have aligned, and we're getting 2 of the 3 Legion books that were promised by Games Workshop. So obviously, Emperor's Children street date this weekend, but also this weekend you can pre-order all the new World Eaters and Death Guard stuff, which is pretty exciting. It seems, from my independent polling, that really has no scientific bearing or basis. I think Death Guard seems to be more popular than World Eaters this time around, just kind of based on the response I'm seeing online. So let us know how you're feeling on that one, if that's accurate in your neck of the woods or not. But so all of there's 3 different codexes, a battle force, a new combat patrol for each, the individual characters as well, dice and data cards. So pretty much the whole gamut of stuff for the release coming out, and then also the Emperor's Children Combat Patrol is coming out. Now prices have gone up. So the battle forces are $240 US, and of course, you know, in everywhere else money, it's all gone up as well. Which is interesting because it may, you know, put more fuel in the fire of there will be some sort of price adjustment coming in May. Last year they announced it in May. It went into effect in June. So I imagine we're going to hear about it if it is happening. And I just personally don't see how it's not happening here in a week or 2, which will probably give us all a little bit of time to scoop up what we need, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So that still leaves Thousand Suns out there. Don't know when that's coming out, of course. And the single character releases for the Death Guard and the World Eaters as well. As you can imagine, with things being the way they are, a lot of different companies out there are having sales and such. 2 big sales that caught my eyes this week were Liber Demonica is having a 30% off sale, pretty much their whole store. They got bits. They've got new Imperial Knight upgrade kits, which I thought was pretty neat. I was checking those out. They have a ton of 40k compatible stuff for Death Guard and World Eaters. And what else did I see over there? It was pretty interesting. Oh, they've got alternate sculpts for a lot of characters out there that haven't got their Primaris glow up yet. So if you're looking for something maybe a little bit more to your liking or your scale for your army, definitely check them out. I mean, 30% off is pretty decent, so you can't go wrong with that. And our buddy Matt over at Pop Goes the Monkey announced his 10th anniversary is coming up in June. So he's running a giveaway where basically you can submit a custom kind of faction, I guess. It doesn't necessarily have to be chapter per se, I suppose, but like a custom backstory for a faction and like symbols and stuff. You know, it can't be anything that's like IP, of course, but it's going to be community voted for in his Discord, and the winner will get $500 in monkey bucks, I think he calls them, something like that. We'll go with that. So that one's pretty neat. So definitely congratulations to Matt for being around for 10 years now. Apparently my voice is going out. I got really dehydrated Monday. It was a rough one, which is weird because the South is traditionally pretty swampy. So made a rookie mistake there. So, you know, you don't see a lot of companies out there hitting the 10-year mark. I mean, a lot of we're seeing a lot come up on the 10-year mark. Very few, I can count them on my hands, that are on the 15+ year mark. A lot of stuff in the 5-year mark. So that's really cool to see. You know, Matt Pop Goes Monkey's been around for quite a long time and definitely done a lot for um, custom things and being able to get a lot of the bits out there, or even whole kits that you're just not able to get from Games Workshop for whatever reason, here and there. War Machine. Now this is really interesting. I'm not sure if we talked about it last week or not, but War Machine doubled down on their free STL offerings. So, you know, and I think this might be a little indicative of the way things are going in the hobby space. So basically, you can get, I don't even know, it was something ridiculous, like 200 STLs for War Machine figures, um, on the various platforms where you can sign up for them. It's mostly My Manufacturer, I believe. But the thing that is crazy is they have a free month up right now for it. But just the fact that they literally put up like complete factions for the game, terrain sets, markers, you know, scatter terrain, basically everything you need to play. And then there's like custom resculpts of figures that are only available to like stores. And that's where it gets a little weird for me, because like I think this is great for consumer, but at the end of the day, you still need the game stores for, you know, people to play the games at, you know, because not everybody can have a room with a table and have people over, or, you know, it's a whole thing, right? And they have a special thing for game stores that are part of this program too. But I'm just like, this is going to be really interesting to see, because everybody said New York Times was crazy when they're going to the whole digital subscription thing, you know, whatever it was 20 years ago. Like they were way ahead of the time, right? So maybe this will end up to be the same case. But it's really interesting to see one of the, I would say, the top 5 big dogs out there, um, just throwing it down like this, just like straight up, like putting it on the table, like here it is, go get it, you know. And after that, I think it's only like $10 a month, but you get a free month, you get like stupid amount of STLs for free and all the stuff. It's just it's really interesting to see how this is going to shake things up.
It's kind of like what we've been talking about for a while. See who's going to be first to do something like that.
Here we are. It's crazy. So that's really interesting. I've been keeping a close eye on that one. Now on the horizon for more Games Workshop stuff, we do know that there is going to be a preview at the Dallas Open in May 22nd, because they literally have it listed on their site. Last year they canceled the preview at Gen Con, but rumor is that there will be one this year at Gen Con. The events haven't been listed yet at Gen Con, but last year was supposed to be on the Friday night. This year they could still have it around the same time, maybe a Friday. We just don't know, but that is the rumor, that there will be something at that. And honestly, there isn't that much stuff left to reveal. I mean, we got Voton, we got Dark Eldar, maybe Knights in some degree, and a Space Marine reboot 2.0, whatever you want to call it. We know there's a lot of rumor engines that are probably for Space Marines, so where there's smoke, there's fire. You don't have to convince me on that one. The foil don't have to embrace the nugget that bad, but so yeah, lots on the horizon. Very, very, very cool stuff. And it seems like every week there's something new. And like, oh, I didn't see that before. Or so it's still an exciting time out there. It just seems to be going at a little bit different of a pacing than we're all used to, I suppose.
We've got Game Night Horror Stories, lessons learned from playing Warhammer 40k. I've got probably like, I don't know, 150 years of people's experience in this podcast, between like just Rob and Haspel at least. But we also have the Reddit assassin himself, Greg Hunter, joining us. And I've got questions for everyone. So I'm going to start off by asking question 4 to Greg. Have you ever rage quit or watched someone else do it? What do you think pushes players to the brink, Greg?
I've never rage quit, but I've definitely seen quite a few people in my time playing 40k or other games rage quit. And I guess sometimes people get pushed to a point where they're losing a game. It's not what they expected. It's not going the way they want to go. And it just pushes them over the edge to just quit right then and there. Usually, some people will be a good sport about it and be like, hey, there's no way that I can possibly win this game. And they'll just shake hands and that'll be it. Um, a really crazy story I have about that specific question is when I used to game in Killeen, Texas, when I was in the Army. That was my local game store. Um, two people almost got into a fist fight over someone rage quitting over a rule. And like the guy left, got drunk, and like came back and slashed the other guy's tires. And like
Oh
the
no.
police came for him.
Oh
It was like
dude.
my
it was like
god!
the
Yeah,
first
that's-
crazy interaction I had ever seen over Warhammer, and like it ended with them coming to blows in the game store, the owner kicking everyone out and the police coming, and it was like over. It was like fourth or fifth edition 40k, and it was just over like a charge phase where like a guy positioned his models on like that old Imperial Guard busted ass terrain piece that was super high, and a guy tried to charge up there with a jump pack unit and couldn't fit. And like looking back on it now with like what we know about 40k and the way we play the game today, it's like that's just normal shit. But back then it must have been a really big deal. And the
Oh
guy
yeah.
was just like,
In
I
that
can't make this
era,
charge. That's fucking stupid.
the
This is
rule the
dumb. And he
rules were
quit.
evolving, Greg. In that era, like
Yeah.
we had jump troop debacles. We had a weird rule where like in that edition where like you had ruins with top level. There was like a rule that was like you know things can go on the top if you think it's sturdy enough. Literally, like
Yeah.
that was the wording. And you're like,
The wobbly model syndrome.
I think it's sturdy enough. Like, you know what I mean? But then we had to come up with wobbly model later. I mean, it literally was like, you figure it out. 5 space marines can stand up there, but a Carnifex can't. Like,
Yeah.
because I don't want your Carnifex to be up here and charge me. And so we would like block things out so people couldn't do stuff. It was like that was the tech of the era, dude. Like, so it's like that was like the only control you had. And so that's wild that this dude literally. I mean, that's straight.
like slash people's tires.
I mean, he went home and like thought about it and came back.
Yeah. And he was a sergeant in the army, and the guy that he did it to was a major in the army. So not only did like he get in
holy
trouble with
shit.
the law, it's like he got in trouble with like the military and got UCMJ'd over it. It was pretty crazy.
No, dude.
Yikes.
Damn.
Get out of here.
Yeah, imagine
Bro.
having to tell that to your commander Monday morning. It's like, well, my fucking game about Barbies didn't go well, so I committed a felony.
Yeah. Yeah, remember we used to play at the Air Force Academy, Haspel? They ran a annual tournament. Remember that?
Yeah.
And that was always a funny thing that like some of the guys in the Air Force would tell me. It was like, yeah, it's kind of weird because, you have officers in here and people who are gonna be your boss later playing, and should we even bother playing and stuff like that? So like I just probably not a good idea to act out of character in a room full of people who that's like the demographic, right? Like
Yeah, definitely not.
No, that's
that's preposterous, bro. Oof, lessons learned that day. God damn, that's the worst thing I've
the
ever
hard
heard.
way. The hard way.
Mhm.
Haspel, I got one for you. Is that guy real or just a myth we tell rookies to scare them into sportsmanship?
No, I think it's 100% real. 100%. And I have an easy solution for that. Is you just don't play those guys anymore. Pretty soon, they have no opponents.
Yeah.
Word gets around, and so you're just like, hey, don't play that guy. He's that guy.
Oh yeah, that
You
guy
know what I mean?
exists. Like every
And
region.
I'm not proud of this, but I have rage quit too. It was early Adepticon when we were playing like Dark Eldar with portals. Do you remember that whole
Webway
tech?
portal tech, yeah, the
Webway
Uthway Strike
portal
Force.
tech.
Uthway Strike Force.
Yeah. So it was like
Man.
maybe late 4th edition. And I was playing with Donovan, and these guys that we were playing against took 45 minutes to deploy. And then we're arguing that was their strategy to win the game, was we're just going to argue
Jeez.
every single point so that we couldn't even get out of our webway portals
Yeah.
because they literally took 45 minutes. I had to go get a judge and said, hey, we're 45 minutes into this round and these guys haven't finished deployment yet. Like, this is absurd. And the judge was basically like, there's nothing we can do about it. And then they were just like making rules on the fly.
Oh, nice.
And I just was like, you know what? I'm not playing you guys anymore. I'm done.
So the rage quit question actually feeds the that guy question.
Yeah. I was just like, that was definitely their strategy. And I was just like, you know, I'm not in the running to win Adepticon. You know, so I was just like, this is becoming so unpleasant. I would rather just go get something to eat.
Mm-hmm. Every
I'm done.
region I've lived in, there has been a that guy. Every
Yeah.
region I've lived in and played 40k, you find him pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like, people all know who the guy is and they tell you who the guy is.
And what is interesting is that at a subsequent Adepticon, I ran into that same player and I got my game changed. Because I went to the judge and said, this player and I have history. I'm not playing against him.
Ooh,
Oh,
So I was like,
that's
and he
kind of
was
what
like,
happened.
"Oh,
That's
come
what
on,
happens
don't
to
be
these
like that."
guys over time.
yeah, he was like, don't be like that. You're being a bad sport. I'm like, no, being a sportsman doesn't mean being taken advantage of. And a lot of new players need to understand that.
I've been
Mhm.
do
Yes.
that at a tournament before.
Yeah.
In
It's
Houston,
like, yes.
there was a guy I was like, I refuse to ever like, don't pair me into him. I don't care if it fucks it up. Like, I'm not playing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
And it's
solution.
like, there is a social contract that you're there to have fun. And yeah, things can go very badly where you're like, well, it's turn 2. I've been tabled. This is ugly, right?
That's
but
different.
that's not that guy. That's not what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? There's cases where you've made a poor decision or your list just doesn't stand up to the other guy's list or we were talking about this last week when the last big tournament I went to, which was the LVO team tourney, right? And it's when I realized I wasn't a tournament player anymore. There was nothing wrong with my opponents. They weren't that guy. It was I knew my army, but I didn't know everyone else's army. I hadn't had time. So I just got rolled like every single game. And it was very unpleasant. And I was just like, you know, this is not fun anymore. So that's not.
Illustrates.
But that's not that guy.
No, it illustrates the. Also, it's a reminder of like, that guy is not that common, but also, you know, you are the custodian of your fun. You're like, you have to make your own decisions. Like, one of the smartest things you can do
Exactly.
is like, don't play if you're not having fun.
And I've also had the opposite happen where a guy was so invested in getting the victory, like in getting the win. And I guess he was doing well enough that he could have gone all the way. And I was not going to. I have no delusions about my skill. So I quit, I think, at the top of turn 2, and we just re-racked. There was like 2 hours left in the round. I just said, hey, you got the victory. Let's just start over. Like, you won, but I still want to play. Let's start over. And we had a very pleasant second game because he wasn't in like tournament mode.
Yeah, he wasn't in raffle stomp mode anymore.
Right.
Mm, mm.
Well said. Wise.
So all of these things are acceptable ways of dealing. But that guy, you'll know him when you meet him because they won't be gracious. And
He'll slash your
they'll be
tires,
kinda
dog.
terrible. Yeah,
Jesus.
these freaking terrible people.
Throw his water bottle across the tournament
Yeah.
hall.
Wyatt, have you ever had a game devolve into chaos over rules disagreement? How did you or didn't you diffuse the tension?
I don't know that I've ever had a game devolve into chaos. I'm pretty good at being able to deal with people as far as like keeping stuff from like ever getting to a point like that. I have had a couple of times where I've played people and they're like, well, you know, this, and this, and this. And I'm like, I mean, we're not doing that, dude. Like, we don't do that here. Kind of, that's typically my answer for a lot of that type of stuff. Like, I remember I was playing a guy at SoCal Open years ago, and he was like, well, technically your Lord of Skulls is 5.5 inches wide. And so because it's not 6 inches wide, you can't pass through terrain given the FLG FAQ for letting people play with big models. And like, he's looking at me dead in the face saying this, and he has like 2 barbed hyro duels on like massive fucking bases that are like wider than my Lord of Skulls and stuff. And I was just like, dude, like we're not doing that. And I just picked up my Lord of Skulls and I moved it where I wanted it to go. And he was like, you can't do that. And I was like, hey, Adam, like, can I play with my toys? And Adam was like, yeah. I was like, all right, dude, like, back to the game. Like, we're not doing this. Like, we're playing Warhammer, dude.
Yeah, illustrates too. There's a certain degree of people trying to take advantage of people in a game. There's some people like that who are doing that, right? Where they're trying to not play the game to win. They're trying to play like like as Haspel illustrated, a strategy outside the game, right? And so sometimes a gentle reminder is all they need. But unfortunately, a lot of people in our hobby don't have the ability to have a confrontation, even if it's not a negative confrontation. You know what I mean? And so, as
Yeah, and-
always, I try to remind people like, try. Like, you'd be shocked how like you might be able to diffuse situations by confronting them. Because the last thing we want is you to play 3 hours of a shitty game that you hated, as Haspel mentioned, and then feel like you were taken advantage of for fucking 3 days. So, either pull out when it's happening, or you'd be surprised that maybe you can actually resolve the conflict through, with your style, not Wyatt's style, maybe.
No, but with especially something to point out is that when you're going to, this is not the case at the FLGS, but when you're going to something like Adepticon or LVO, everyone shelled out a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have a bad time, that's not part of the bargain.
Yeah.
But you do have to take some kind of responsibility for ensuring that you do have a good time. So if you feel that you're being taken advantage of, you might be surprised to just tell your opponent exactly that. Hey man, I feel like you're taking advantage of me. And you'd be surprised. Most Warhammer players are really good people. like we always say, we're best friends. We just haven't met yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you tell to somebody, hey, I feel like you're taking advantage of me, you'd be surprised what their response will be. It's usually not hostile.
Yeah.
It's usually like, whoa,
the tires,
why?
The
like,
tire
what's going
slashing
on?
scenario is hella rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
True.
I've never heard anything like that. I've been in the game since like 99. That's preposterous.
I'm trying to think the worst story I've heard.
Rob, what do you think is worse? Someone who constantly argues rules, or someone who takes 45 minutes in a single turn? Defend your answer.
So, I mean, obviously, I feel like they're both bad, but the constantly arguing rules is a little much. Personally, like it's just nobody likes arguing, right?
Because like one is solved with a chess clock.
Yeah, you can just put them on a clock, and that's that. And but the arguing rules is just like, are you arguing because you're ignorant? Are you arguing because you're trying to be like passive aggressive or aggressive
Are
aggressive?
you arguing
like,
constantly because you actually aren't ready to play in tournaments, and I needed to like literally walk you through every fucking rule, right? Or are you trying to take advantage of me?
Yeah, that's the question, right? So,
Or do you just argue when I do stuff, like you don't trust my measurements, right? But I'm not doing that to you, so then you start, because some people do that, right? Like they'll call you out on like a measurement, but then like you'll see them pull a
Yeah.
13-inch out for 8,
and I think one of the things I do is I always reroll my dice, like no matter what. Like even if it looks like it's cocked, I just pick it up and reroll it. I don't care. Like, so I'm always rerolling. But sometimes, that's even 50-50 with folks. So
Oh, yeah.
you just have to kind of establish that early, like what the standard is, because the standard's a standard.
Yeah, that in particular really bothers me, where like I'll be playing somebody and it's like if their dice rolls onto because we use the footprints now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are really good dice catch for having it be cocked on the little footprint.
It's not cocked.
And within like the first turn, if I notice somebody is like the result they want is cocked, they keep it, but the result they don't want gives
Yeah,
them a free
that's
reroll. I'm just like, all right, stop. We're not doing that anymore. Like,
Mhm.
just reroll
pick,
everything.
pick one way or the other. I don't care which, but like you have to stay with it because like you cherry picking where you're just gonna get free rerolls on stuff is like super uncool.
And you know, a lot of people, I don't know, like what's you guys' experience with the whole dice tray thing? Like a lot of people have these the pop-up dice trays with like the felt insides and they look cool, but
I
like
maybe this is a hot take. The chat can tell me. I think the angled pop-up dice trays are just another way to get free rerolls. And it's
what do you
really
mean?
hard. It's the same thing, right? So it's like if the because like generally the cock dice rule, air quotes, right, is if you can't put another dice on top of that dice and have it sit there, like if it falls off, that's a cock dice and you must re-roll it, even if you
Yeah.
want the result, right? So if you have these pop-up dice trays that have these big angles all around on the outside,
Hmm.
like literally every dice roll, there's like a handful of dice that are like almost sideways, like they're like a 45
Oh,
degree
I
angle
see what you're saying.
in
Yeah.
those dice trays. And so it's like, oh, well, I'm just gonna re-roll these 5 dice over here because they're cocked dice. And it's like, well, like, are you using that thing because you basically get free rerolls with every dice roll, or are you using it because it's convenient to like, contain your dice? Whereas like, I mean, I just got my XPZ dice tray right here that has straight edges, and guess what? Like, no cocked dice in this thing.
Yeah, I think those are a lot better.
Mhm.
Like,
If
the
someone wants
pop-up
to bring
ones
a
just
dice
suck.
box to the table and they're like, I roll all my dice in the dice box and I re-roll anything that falls out, I instantly acquiesce to those rules and I play that way too. Right?
Mm.
But like they're gonna be, but like then I'll make him work for me though. I'll be like, all right, bro, hold the dice straight for me, blow blow. And I'll be like throwing him in there, like making him reach across the table. Like I was like, if we're gonna use this thing, let's use this thing, bro. Let's make this game fast. But like but
Mm.
if it doesn't have sharp corners, I'm like, I'm just gonna roam how I'm gonna roam, dude. Don't worry about
I guess I never really noticed that whole because I'm of the mentality like I'm not going to take the time to try to stack a die. I'm just going to re-roll it. Like, but I never noticed. I know what you're saying because they got like the 45-degree thingy on it, and then
it. But
I mean,
sometimes I
it's
want to
like,
just drop 2 dice right in front of my unit that I'm throwing a charge at. Like sometimes I don't want to like throw into it.
yeah,
I mean, it makes
yeah.
sense, right? Like, if you declare your intent of how you want to play the game, stick to it. Like, that's fine. It's just like I've been playing this game for so long, and we've gone through all of the eras of like, back in the dirty days, Ard Boys, like pre-code of conduct kind of stuff, up till now. It's like I have a pretty accurate like dice paranoia response, if we want to call it that. And so it's like if I'm watching somebody roll their dice, like I'm keenly aware of like, oh hey, you grabbed like 2 you weren't supposed to, or like, oh, like he had that cocked dice and it was a 6, so he kept that. But then that one that was a 2 over there, he re-rolled that one. And it's like within the first,
Mhm.
that's what I'm watching for. Like within the first turn, I'm like, you got to pick one way and stick with it, or like stop rolling over here because like you're getting free rerolls when you shouldn't be, right? Like rerolls are such a powerful rule within 40k 10th edition as it is that not everything gets it. And when you're just getting free rerolls because of the way that your dice tray is shaped, or because you're rolling and your dice are like all over these footprints and cocked and stuff, you're just cherry picking the ones that you want, like that is kind of passive cheating.
It's true. Let me throw a couple of these Q's and A's at you. Kara Quinn mentioned this right at the beginning. I will throw this to Greg. He says, because we were talking about like horror stories, right? And you brought up the tire slashing. He said, dude falling on a table, seen it once. Is that still the worst? How do you rate guy falling on the table versus tire slashing?
Oh,
One's definitely the tire
Oh, those
slashing
guys
is
that got
definitely worse.
too
But
drunk.
But like all the models are smashed.
that
Oh,
happened at
jeez.
that happened at LVO a year or two ago, right? In the background of a stream, a guy had an Imperial Knight Army, and the other guy had something with a lot of models, like Gene Stealer Colt or Imperial Guard, and the table fell
It
apart
fell.
in the middle of their
oh
game.
my
Yeah,
God.
That's
a
gotta suck.
nightmare.
Like
That's a
I'll tell you straight
nightmare.
up, I'd rather you slash my tires
Yeah.
than
It's
my
easier to
fucking.
fix.
That's cheaper. It's
Yeah.
cheaper.
I'd rather you slash my tires than have my models get
But
imploded.
I
and-
do recall that happening at an event that we may or may not had anything to do with. where-
Ish. Ish.
They may have had to on the fly change the drinking rules at Adepticon one year because of us.
because of
Yeah.
that. That was horrible. I
had
remember seeing
a-
that happen, and it was a nightmare.
We had a
Yeah.
folding table collapse at the doubles one year.
Yeah.
Remember that happening?
Yeah,
That was like
luckily no
Adepticon's
models got
fault, but-
smashed. Like some beer spilled on some, and when everyone came together to help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that could have been a disaster too, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
I-
always have
yeah.
the dice spell, and everybody hears it, stops what they're doing, looks over in that area, and they're like, "Oh man,
When you
Yeah.
hear it,
But-
yeah,
can't even imagine losing your entire army like that."
And Aussie Jedi said, like, oh no, it wasn't Aussie Jedi. He said, I've seen a case of sisters bumped off a table. I remember back in the day at like Genghis Khan or whatever, where people would just have like a chair with like a million orcs like stacked on it, no tray or whatever, and somebody's moving down and hits the chair leg, and
Yep.
you just hear, 2,000 points of orcs just just collapse. You're like,
I mean, like there
oh.
was also the fucking obesity apocalypse that happened to me at LVO. Smashed my army because of a
Yeah.
fat guy. That was
Oh,
super great.
yes.
he didn't even. Yeah, it was like didn't even have the wherewithal to stick around and help. She
Fucking-
was.
Some people are a little socially inept.
Yeah, that shit was upsetting. Aussie Jedi asked a question. Rob, in a game, what was the worst die roll that caused a whole game to fall apart? Do you have one in your mind that you can think of that you can recall?
I have one, and Kenny, you know which one it was.
Corbulo.
Is it a Corbulo one?
Mine was not a Corbula one. The
Oh,
one I'm
no.
talking about
It's the Land Raider
was
one.
Oh, the Land Raider one.
the Land Raider. I freaking
Well, even I know what
told
it
you.
is.
I even told you.
You
Oh,
told me.
the mobilization.
He looked me dead in the
Yes.
windows of my
Yeah.
soul, and he says, "I'm not gonna fucking roll this dice." Like, Mike, we're gonna win the game. You're not gonna roll a one. He fucking hits that one. I was like, okay, that was on me.
I set the
That's
bar
on me.
too low.
I thought I was a genius because like he was like, I don't think we can win this game. I was like, Rob, I was like, Mike, it's easy. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna move the Land Raider right there. We win. You're like, yeah, but we gotta roll a DT check, dog. And I was like, so what? Roll the dice. I'm not comfortable rolling that dice, Kenny. He's straight up. I was like, just roll it. Peer pressured him. He rolled it. He rolled the fucking one. We lost the fucking game. God damn it. That's also my answer. That same game. Fuck.
I roll more ones than binary. I
Yep,
knew.
that used-
And
Oh, the fucking Land Raider. Forgot about that. Yeah.
that literally haunts me to this day.
Mhm.
I played myself on that one.
There were two different ones, the Land Raider one and one from 4th edition where I was deep striking some immortals in behind this Tau guy, and it would have won me the game. And they scattered right onto one of his devilfish, and the whole squad was wiped. And
Good old
that haunts
wacky
me to
deep
this
striking.
day.
Yeah. I don't think I mean deep striking mishaps were always pretty big. And remember Seize the Initiative? Like I definitely lost some games based on Seize the Initiative
Oh
rolls.
yeah, dude. C's was bad rule.
I can't like
Too many
I
to count,
couldn't-
dog. Too many to count.
Yeah, I there was definitely a bunch. I mean, it got so bad that edition.
Well, you
I
stopped
think they
counting
kept-
them because all the times you seized the initiative undid those. You know what I mean? Because like it was
Yeah, true.
You know, like
But I'm pretty sure the stats were keeping track of who went first too that edition, like just to see, like if it was a thing.
Greg, what's your biggest pet peeve? This is from Dead Nerve. What's your biggest pet peeve about playing at the friendly local gaming store?
My biggest pet peeve is particularly for my local area. So I have a lot of little fish that win local things and think they're the hot shit. And they just like you'll bring something tried and true and they just like, Well, I saw on X website or on Best Coast Pairings or whatever that this guy won with this list and your list has none of this in it, so it's obviously not the top thing, and they kind of like disrespect you or lord over you like that. And it's like a lot of local people that never travel, never go into anything big. And that's my one of my biggest peeves is people that only play in their local area and think they're the hot shit because they
Hmm.
might win an RTT or
Mm-hmm.
they might hang
Oh,
the
and then
big one is like the people that
criticize
hang
your
around.
player expression
Yeah.
too. On top of it, that is
Yeah.
frustrating.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I definitely don't like the whole like salting people's dice rolls. Like, oh, well, you rolled hot and I rolled cold, and that's why you win. Like, I mean, that's it. That's all we got to do is
My
just
biggest pet peeve is definitely people blaming the dice. Like,
like, oh,
That's
why don't
bad
we
too.
just like shelve this table and me and you just sit here and roll dice?
yeah, we lost the game because of the Land Raider thing to a die roll, but we also got put in a position where we needed a die roll to win.
Where we needed a die roll to
Like,
make
we lost that
happen.
fucking game. It came
Yeah.
down to one die roll, right? Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
not luck, right? That's just math,
And,
right?
and honestly, though, that's my favorite game. Is if it comes down to a single die roll at the end of the game, that
Mhm.
was a phenomenal game.
Yeah, you put me in that situation, and so that was that was like watching Demeki and the craps table, dude. That was like
Yeah, yeah.
that was
It's like
straight to this day. I can remember that feeling.
my pet peeve, and Kenny knows this too. This I haven't experienced it recently. And this there's no reason for it. Like this is not a conscious like logical pet peeve. It's people playing on my side of the table.
Yeah, he hates that shit. He hates that shit.
It just gets under my skin,
Especially with
man. I'm
deployment
like,
zones like they
"Oh."
are now. Like back in the day, we
Mhm.
played only one way across, right? And then when they
Yeah.
introduced Hammer and Anvil, or is that what it's called? Yeah,
I
Hammer.
think so, yeah.
His Dawn of War was straight across, right? When they
Yeah.
introduced that, you fucking hated that shit, dude.
It just bugs me. I don't know why. There's no like actual brain reason why that bothers me,
No.
but it does. I also the other pet peeve, and this goes into the FLGS guys, right? Is you'll be playing a game and you're maybe getting hammered, right? But it's like turn 2, and they'll like come over to the table and look at it and then tell you how badly you're screwing up.
Hmm.
Oh man, you're just messing all this up. You need to learn how to play your army. It's like, son, I've been playing Grey Knights longer than you've been alive. Like, like you don't even know. So I don't know. It's just funny.
Here's one. Wyatt Aussie Jedi asks: laser pointers are the bane of players' existence. Talk about laser pointers.
So, all right, here's my hot take about laser pointers. And they're fucking stupid, and they're not actually like a reliable way to measure in line of sight. Like, maybe if I'm playing somebody and like his day job is he's like a cardiovascular surgeon
And his
has
hands are
hands
steady.
like rock, then like, yeah, sure. But like every single time I've ever played somebody with a laser pointer, they're like, oh, let me pull this out to check line of sight, and that laser is just doing fucking back and forth like a oscilloscope the entire time. And I'm like, what is this proving? Like, I can literally eyeball it and see it. Like I was like a combat engineer, dude. I can shoot an azimuth by eye. Like I can see this thing. And your shaky ass uh laser pointer is not gonna change my mind. Like this is so dumb.
Oh.
Yeah, when the two-way laser pointer, like the transit showed up, like I've found it to be such a funny gimmick, right? It's just a funny tool to have because it's not displaying anything, bro. Like I can see or I can't see. And if you need to pull, and I think that it people pull it out because they don't want to bring a judge over it. I think is like what annoys me about it the most. Where I'm like, I don't know, I don't think you can see my dude. And they're like, well, I do think I can see dude. I'll just get the judge over here. Let's ask him for an impartial line of sight. Oh no, I got this crazy laser pointer. See, I can see your dude. It's like I'm still calling the judge over. Like,
Yeah.
See?
Battletech cured me of laser pointers and true line of sight. Like right that was right about when the clans came out that the whole gaming space like went there, and it was just like everything was like, oh, this is like partial cover and this is I was like, you know what, I stopped playing BattleTech for a long time after that. We'd spend more time measuring with laser pointers than actually playing the game.
Yeah, that I agree. The last question I have from Aussie Jedi is, which he asked a lot of great questions tonight. The whole talking it out at the end, you know, and then the guy's doing like magic math, and suddenly he wins, or suddenly the score is different, and then you're trying to go backwards in time on scores, try to figure out who scored what in what round because now he's coming up with a different number. That's I feel like that is a thing that's happened to everyone, which is mostly resolved by the apps that people use now.
The app's all right. I'm actually not a huge fan of the Tabletop Battles app because a lot of its functions are not easily accessible for some people, and it's really easy to like toggle the wrong thing, which can create issues. So if you're out there listening to this and that's a problem that you've run into, just like with the talking it out kind of stuff, the easiest way to fix this is just to physically write down your scores, like on a dry erase board, on a scorekeeper, on a piece of paper. And then like at the end of every turn, be like, I have 17 points and you have 15 points. Yes. And you force them to acknowledge that so that when you are in turn 5, there's no like, oh, well, you know, actually, I think I did this other thing in turn 2 that you forgot about. Like, and they try to gaslight you and this stuff. I'm like, nope, we agreed on this. Like, that was like, honestly, I the only time I ever turn the app on is to like measure deployments and terrain footprints.
Yeah.
And then I just turn that shit off. I never use it.
I agree with you. I don't like the app for scorekeeping. I like having like a printout laminate.
It resets too. Like you accidentally reset something, you're like, oh, there goes all our scores.
The other thing is they're not allowed to have the wording
rules
of this. Oh yeah, of the secondaries.
Yeah,
and
when you
stuff
pull
in the app.
secondaries, it doesn't tell you what it
And
does
so it's
anymore.
like,
They had to take it out.
Okay, well, if we're gonna have to pull out the cards to look up what the rule is, anyways, I'm just gonna have the deck of cards shuffled right there for my secondaries. Like,
the downside is like I can't get the cards. So if I don't play with the app, I don't play.
But now that, but they don't even say what was on the cards anymore. That's the problem. They took it out.
No, I know, but it's like they were so poor about the cards. I mean, the last set I've still been playing Leviathan.
It's funny because I had the new ones and Goat Boy 76, he had the old ones. And so we were just flipping the cards, and when he'd pull a card, I was like, hold on, I go through mine and it showed what the new wording on it was. You know what I mean? I've written notes on them. I've like scratched shit out and like written the FAQ changes on them directly on the cards. Like it's, but yeah, interesting. All right, well, we did it. We were able to go through a pretty solid list of horror stories, resolutions, and hopefully maybe some advice, especially with our guest Greg, who brought the most shocking 40k story I've ever heard of.
Insane.
The most
Absolutely insane
shit I've ever heard of.
Oh,
well, Haspel, you have a sign off for us?
She says the jungle, it just came alive and took him.
Oh, Predator.
Predator, baby. Back to see. This is good old classic Haspel. Some good old season 1, season 2 Haspel. I'm with this. Wyatt, you want to take us out of here?
Rob?
So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Make sure to head on over to thelongwar.net for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.